I have one huge fear about Howard Terminal getting done. I'm wondering if you have the same huge fear. What is your biggest concern right now that you think may be the reason this thing never gets built?
Biggest concern right now. I think the obvious thing people might read from me would be that there's not a development agreement between the A's and the city of Oakland. That definitely, I mean, it's primary thing number one. We can't go any farther until there is that agreement and then hopefully a vote on that agreement. But there's also the fact that infrastructure needs to be paid for. And the way that the city wanted to do it was to have federal grants come in. They wanted to take some of the money from the IFD, which is, again, let's be very clear here, tax money only generated by the project. It's not additional taxes to Oaklanders. It's none of that. It's how the project is going to essentially pay for itself and pay the A's back for the initial loan that they would give the city. But now kind of the problem is that the city said, well, we want to do this a different way. We want to do this so that we're going to accept grants. We're going to take in money from external places. You're relying on other people to give you tens and hundreds of millions of dollars, and that hasn't happened yet. So that's definitely a concern, I would have to say right now.
Yeah, I'm right on the same page with you there. And to your last point, you know, maybe these grant funds do come in, right? Like there's the mega projects grant. It's a huge one. Pete Buttigieg was just here. The mayor had a chance to talk to him. She's mentioned this. She told me to Kamala Harris, like the second she got off the plane on the tarmac, she's bringing this up with Kamala. And these are very important people, by the way, in the federal government. If you're going to get federal funds, I think those two probably have almost
prominent,
the most say. Yeah.
Very prominent,
as prominent as it gets.
Yeah.
So while I think the federal funds will come, the federal government isn't really operating on a timeline that's considering Howard Terminal.
Right.
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 Like they're doing their own thing. They got $5 billion in this mega projects grant, and they're taking applications from everywhere in the nation.
Right.
And so they're not looking at Howard Terminal and going, we need to give this to them within a month because they need to get a binding vote done. And they have this maybe $200 million gap that needs to be filled. They're not thinking like that. So that is a concern. I think they'll get funds. I'm not sure how much funds they will get. I think it'll come. But I think that when I look at what's happening right now, there's so much noise, right? There's noise from opposition. There's noise from people that want this. There's noise from fans. There's noise from people that are confused. I think what's happening right now is what's not being said in a weird way, right? Like they're negotiating this deal. I'm not hearing anything about it. Are you?
No. Silent on all fronts for the details. For the overall big picture, the leaders of both sides, I would have to think the mayor is the leader of one side. I would have to think that Dave Cavill is leader of the other side. And I don't distrust what I hear in that things are going well. But I don't know how well and how fast and how close. You know, it's and for obvious reasons. Look, it's vague answers. Casey, if you and I were negotiating on something, we wouldn't be here doing a YouTube video live negotiating it. We wouldn't be negotiating through the press. Like we're talking about, you know, tens and hundreds of millions and billions of dollars here being negotiated. I mean, the project, the A's alone to build $1 billion stadium, like they want to make sure that if we're going to sink $1 billion at least into this, we want to make sure that this is going to go okay.